All right, so the race here today is coming from the track in Brazil where they do the Formula One race, Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, in the Grand Prix version of the circuit. So let's get to the start here. I screwed up my qualifying lap, but it kind of didn't matter. The competition was pretty stiff. We started I don't know, around ninth or so. This is turn one and turn two, kind of hairy through that sort of big chicane. It's between two long straightaways. That's a kind of important thing to keep in mind. Switch to a slightly wider camera view there. So we got the four cars shooting up the inside a little bit. I stay a little long and coming back to the racing line, stay kind of in the middle. He thinks about making a dive up the right side, but isn't quite sure where I'm going to go. Then he's to my inside. So now I'm committed to the outside at that point. This is a pretty good field. Some quick guys at the front. I take a peek back to the inside here. It's pretty tough, kind of a tight turn, but that gives him the inside going into the next turn. This right here is tough. You can't really make it through side by side. Um, I left my braking a little too late. He had the advantage there, but now I have the draft. And it's a very long straight.
I feel like I didn't have any room.
So I'm drafting down there, and then I dive out. So what I want to look at here is when we get to the 50, right before the 50.
Really fast there.
So let's look at what our top speed is here. We're doing 123 right here at this point. We'll go slow-mo. 124 right before getting on the brakes. So look at where the cars are behind us. We'll keep going slow-mo here. So we have all these cars back here. There's me and the four car kind of battling, and three cars back here behind us. Let's go ahead and switch to one of these other cars. Let's go, oops. We'll go with a five car, and we'll go on board. Now watch the run he gets. Oops. So I'm way to the inside. You can kind of barely see me up there. Way up here to the inside, we are. Switch camera angles again here. Sorry. So we come out of here. I'm side by side up here, and there's two more cars side by side. And watch how close this five car gets. So I want to talk about the drafting here, of how much the drafting helps. So he's able to close up for two reasons. One, he doesn't have to run side by side through that turn with anybody, and the other is all the draft off two rows of cars running side by side. So he closes up quite a bit. And I continue kind of try to challenge for position up there. But what we're going to take a look at here is the drafting that happens as we get back to the straightaway in a couple turns. So we have basically five cars pretty kind of tightly grouped together here. And then coming out of this next turn, you're basically full throttle for, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds. Coming out of this turn, from this point on, you're on throttle. So look how far back the car that we're sitting in right now, the five car I think it is, um, we're sitting along like fourth in a train here. Look at how much room he's able to make up right here. Uh, he's up to 127 miles an hour. By ourselves, we got to like 122. But now this guy's 4 miles an hour faster at this point, and maybe he goes even faster. I think he got to 128 right before it um, got on the brakes. Now watch the run. Oh, he got through there a lot better. And now we got 5 cars. We go 4 wide for a second here. And the 10 car has no place to go. Plenty of draft all around, but no place to go. And then these guys get together and take me out, um, which all kind of instigated uh, in a way from what I did, somebody overreacting to it. I'll show you that here. So, so as we're coming out here, I know there's a car to my outside, and I don't know if there's space to fit there. And so I decided to go to the inside. I go left, which kind of atypical. And the car in front of me thought he was going to go left too, but I kind of already got to his quarter panel, so he kind of can't go any more left unless he's going to wreck us both. So I squeeze in there and surprise him a little bit. And so he moves over a little because I was there, but then kind of misjudges the distance and moves a little bit more to the right, which squeezes this guy, which squeezes back here. So now we're, can we see this better? Car behind. Um, let's back up slightly. The 4 car has to give me room and then gives me a little too much room, squeezing these 2 guys who then get together and then ends up wrecking up the track and wrecking into us. Um, but maybe the better thing to look at is let's go back and look at it from a 10 car perspective of look how much ground he's able to make up. So you got all these cars in front moving the air for him. 4 cars moving that air out of the way. He's able to accelerate quicker. He drove that turn good and he didn't have a car next to him, but has all these cars pushing the air out of the way. And now he's just lifting back here to not get into it and wait for 4 cars wide. Not going to work. He just gets through it. But that's kind of the effect of the drafting of you're able to make up speed behind somebody moving the air out of the way for you. But then once you have to move the air for yourself, you lose that advantage right back. And that's why we're 4 wide and not all in a single file line, because we each got a little bit of advantage from being behind somebody, and then we pull out into clean air, and then now we have the same air drag on our car, which slows us down. So now we're basically all going the same speed, and this 10 car behind us has the advantage of not having to move as much air out of the way, but he finally runs out of space. If there's no place else to go, so he has to wait for it. So this kind of shows you the effect of the drafting. It gives you an advantage until you have to pull out into clean air and move the air for yourself. Then you start to lose that advantage, and now you're just even with the other car. So uh, this is a really good example of it because he had 2 long straightaways with only a little chicane kind of in between. So we stay together for a long time, and it all adds up. Now the question is, how's this going to play out when you have 60 cars on the track? Uh, it's going to be a different game. So we'll see how that goes.